Good afternoon, everyone. In today's video, we're going to be looking at a massive storm for next week. We're going to be looking at the potential snowstorm with this. We're going to be looking at the severe weather in the south, possibly some ice as well for this storm that's going to be panning across the central and pretty much the whole eastern U.S. is going to see some sort of impact from this winter storm. We're going to move forward here. This is going to be today, and it is quite quiet weather-wise until about Sunday. Overnight, we get a quick snowstorm over there in the mid-Atlantic. That's going to bring a couple to maybe a few inches of snowfall, but it's really not that big of a snowstorm there. As you can see, it's very quickly moving in and out, the type of storm there. We head into next week here. This is going to be Tuesday. We have some snow over there in northwestern. We have also a low pressure system just over Montana, so definitely some activity going on there. Definitely some snow over there in those areas, but we're going to move forward here throughout the week here. So this is going to be reaching around Wednesday, and we get another low pressure system, and the snow is from the northwest has dropped down into around the Four Corner states. And we're going to move forward here into Thursday. Well, this is going to be still Wednesday. We see a lot of that rainfall starting to form across the Midwest and the South. We see even some ice in there possibly already by 12 p.m. of Wednesday. We head into around 3 p.m. of Wednesday. That rainfall is definitely very quickly developing here. And as we head into the evening hours into Wednesday, this is going to be around 6 p.m. We start to see some possible thunderstorms popping up into around Missouri, Arkansas, Texas as well. Could see some thunderstorms popping up for Wednesday evening. And we head to around 9 p.m. so later in the evening. And we still see some of those strong thunderstorms heading throughout Missouri, Arkansas, Illinois, Tennessee, Kentucky. You could see some of those thunderstorms as well. We head to the overnight hours. We see more severe thunderstorms starting to develop, and a lot of that ice is in portions of Missouri and Illinois. We see a little bit of snowfall, but really not that much snowfall popping up over there in the Midwest. But once we reach to the northeast, that's where you could see much more of that snowfall. More northern Michigan could see a decent amount of snowfall from this as well. But as we head forward here, we see that line of thunderstorms starting to develop across Arkansas, Texas, and Louisiana. We'll look at the severe thunderstorm risk for those days in just a minute here after we look at this model. But we're seeing a lot of freezing rain there in northern Illinois, in portions of central Michigan. And as we head forward here throughout the morning hours of Thursday, we see a lot of severe thunderstorms over there just below the low pressure system. We're starting to see some heavy snowfall there once again in Missouri and Illinois. We're moving forward here. Not a lot of snowfall, as you can see, for the northeast so far, but we still see those very strong thunderstorms still heading throughout the south for Thursday lunch hours, and some pretty heavy snowfall there in portions of Illinois and Indiana as that backside of that kind of heavy snowfall starts impacting those areas. Still, those lines of thunderstorms is continuing here, looking kind of like a derecho type of event. But as you can see, it finally starts to break up once you get into the late evening hours of Thursday. And a lot of the heavy snowfall looks to be missing most of the northeast here, but it looks to be bringing some lake effect snowfall to portions of those lake areas, Great Lake areas in like New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Those areas could see potentially some lake effect snow after this system goes over those areas. So overall, it looks like a pretty strong system to bring a pretty big outbreak of severe thunderstorms to the south so far. It is going to be around 5 days out still. So things are definitely going to change here, but definitely the severe risk is going to be pretty high with this one. This is the day 5 severe weather outlook by the Storm Prediction Center. We haven't actually looked at this in a while. We have looked at it a couple times, but we haven't seen a day 5 slight risk in a long time. This is dating back probably to like September of 2021. So we're just starting the severe season here, and we are approaching March 1st. So we're only about 15 days away from March 1st. That's the start of severe weather season, and that's when severe weather live coverages start. But I think my first severe weather live coverage of the year might be for this event. This is going to be, again, day 5 for Wednesday of next week. We have a 15% chance of severe weather for Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. So this pretty much means we have a 15% chance of a severe weather outlook being issued on this day, which is a very decent risk here for this area. And we saw in those models some very strong thunderstorms looking to be popping up in these areas for Wednesday and Thursday. So let's go on and go to the Thursday outlook, and it's a lot more east here for day 6. So this is going to be Thursday. As you can see, another 15% chance, but a very much larger area. And again, it's the same risk, but it's a much larger area here and a lot more east, which kind of concerns me that this could be a large-scale event where we could potentially see a lot of tornadoes from this. But it really depends here with those ingredients. Of course, we can look at the long-range ingredients, but it's definitely going to change over the next few days here as we continue to eye the models for a potential severe weather outbreak, or possibly even a tornado outbreak if we do have a lot of those tornado ingredients. But again, this could be a very large-scale severe weather event and even overnight event, which is extremely dangerous if these are going to be extremely dangerous severe thunderstorms. So definitely be alert of this. Prepare. And now, if you do live in these areas, make sure you stay alert of the latest models and stuff. Stay alert to these daily uploads. I'm going to be doing analyzing all of the ingredients here for potential severe weather outbreak. These are going to be changing every day. So as we get closer and closer to the event, I'll have much more details on the severe weather side of things. So definitely stay tuned to this channel for that. We're going to look at the severe type of ingredients for long range. This is going to be Wednesday at 3. Well, this is actually going to be Thursday at 3 a.m. This is going to be Wednesday at 3 a.m. And let's move forward here. This is going to be convective available potential energy. So this is CAPE values within the atmosphere. Just imagine this is kind of like this is like pretty much energy. This is energy that thunderstorms take in to explode in the atmosphere and create thunderstorms, of course. So we're going to move forward here, and this energy definitely increases as we head into the lunchtime hours of Wednesday, and we are getting already around 300 joules per kilogram. Not a lot of energy, and we typically don't see that much energy until around April or May. That's when we start to see around 2,000, 3,000 joules per kilogram in severe weather type events, as that's when the Gulf of Mexico starts to really warm up in those months, and it really starts to put out some very large CAPE values. But usually in March, April, we don't see that many large CAPE values because the Gulf of Mexico is not quite warm yet, but we do see enough CAPE values to bring some severe weather outbreaks to these areas. We start to see 1,000 joules per kilogram. That's definitely enough to get those thunderstorms rolling. And we're going to move forward here. It's going to be 6 p.m. of Wednesday. We get to the evening hours where those thunderstorms really start to develop. And it starts to take up some of that CAPE. As you can see, down to around 800 to 700. But still enough to keep those thunderstorms just going and going here as it keeps eating up all of that energy. It heads into Louisiana and Mississippi down to around 500 to 600 joules per kilogram. Those thunderstorms are taking up that energy very efficiently. So the energy is still there. It's still enough to keep those thunderstorms going until you get to around these types of areas, the southeast. That's when that these CAPE values really start to diminish around the lunchtime hours of Thursday, but it still has enough energy to keep going to these areas. And that's when we saw these thunderstorms start to break up in more of the Carolinas. That's where you see only around 100 to 200 joules per kilogram. That's definitely not enough energy to keep those thunderstorms rolling. Let's take a look at supercell composite, which is kind of the risk of supercells developing and how much ingredients we do have for supercells to develop. Supercells are thunderstorms that are pretty much thunderstorms on steroids, but they also produce tornadoes. Supercells are the types of thunderstorms that do produce tornadoes. So if you do have a larger area of supercells developing, that's where you have a larger chance of tornadoes. But it also depends on those tornadoes. We can have supercells and not have any tornadoes or even any types of rotations within a thunderstorm. but we can also have a bunch of supercells, and every single one of those supercells develops some sort of rotation or even a tornado. So it really depends on those tornado ingredients. But let's move forward here and let's see those supercell chances of developing. And those supercell chances are definitely a little low. We could definitely see some supercells developing here. But definitely these very increase once you reach around the border of Louisiana and Mississippi, Louisiana and Arkansas. That's where we could see potentially a 10 chance for supercells developing. So we have a chance for those supercells in these areas. Once we head into more Alabama and Mississippi, those chances definitely diminish. But let's move forward here, and those chances definitely diminish a lot. These definitely peak around the Arkansas and Louisiana border, but it definitely diminishes very quickly there. But definitely supercells are going to be very possible here, and tornadoes are going to be very possible as well. It only depends on if these models actually change, which they are over the next 5 days, so definitely stay tuned. Now, before this video ends, we are going to look at the bulk shear. This is one of the key ingredients for tornadoes, and if you do have a lot of shear but less cape, we definitely have a big chance of tornadoes. And you, with 1000 cape, you don't have a big chance of tornadoes if you do have low shear values. If you have a lot of shear, it with low cape, that definitely makes up for those for that low energy. So we do have quite the chance for tornadoes then. So this is going to be Thursday at 6 a.m. when these storms are already formed here, and we have easily 80 knots. This is going to be 500 millibars, so this is not quite at the surface. But we have 80 knots at 500 millibars, which, as you can see, we just switched to the GFS model, and the GFS model again has bulk shear at the 500 millibar surface. We have a lot of shear here, 100 knots of shear, and we have again enough cape values, so this could definitely be quite the large scale event, and possibly even tornado event if this does verify. But as you can see, 110 knots at 500 millibars, that is a bunch of shear here, especially for this type of year. And as you can see, Missouri, Arkansas, these storms are not going to be that north, but definitely 130 knots of shear. That's quite the insane amount of shear. Let's move forward here where that tornado threat definitely diminishes as these storms start to enter portions of the southeast. But we're going to go back a little bit when these storms are developed, and you could see these kind of pulse areas of the shear. That's where those storms actually are, and these are going to be entering around 70 knots of shear. So that's definitely a little bit of shear to possibly get a couple of tornadoes in with those storms. Again, this is quite far out for severe weather-wise, but definitely quite the lookout for. Definitely quite something to look out for potentially a severe overnight severe weather outbreak for these areas. So definitely stay tuned for the channel. I'll have a major update on Monday and Tuesday. So definitely stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and turn on post notifications. You won't miss a single update on these upcoming major storm once again. And also make sure to share this video with any friends or family that may want the latest updates on this, again, major storm that's going to be spanning across the entire United States. But as always, stay safe.